Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Wake Up with YPN. I'm Kayla Fisher, your 2024 chair of the Iowa City Area Association of Realtors YPN. Thank you to our episode sponsor this morning, CBI Bank and Trust. We really appreciate your partnership. And this morning, we are excited to continue Realtor Safety Month because we have with us today Dawn Aspaas, who was the 2022 chair of NAR's Commercial Leadership Forum, as well as the 2021 Commercial Real Estate Advisory Board. She's joining us from South Dakota today to give us some information on safety mindset things to keep in mind, both on the commercial side and the residential side. So tune in as we hear from Dawn. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to pop those in the comments and we'll get to them at the end. But to begin, good morning, Dawn.
Good morning, Kayla. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. How was your weekend?
My weekend was beautiful. I got to spend it with my grandchildren, so that always makes me happy.
Oh, I love that. Very good. It's a good time to take some time to rest and relax and surround yourself with people. I know here in Iowa, the fall weather's starting to kick in. How is it in South Dakota?
Well, they call it beautiful, but when it gets to 70, I start saying, no, don't go summer. But I guess it's officially fall, so we better celebrate fall, right?
I agree. And September is always kind of that lead into fall and colder weather. And as many realtors know, September is Safety Awareness Month. So we really want to make sure that we're making that a important and top of mind awareness, because it's something that can fall down and we don't always keep it up top priority. So we want to keep that. But today, before we dive into that, Dawn, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your journey in real estate and where you're at today?
Sure. So I started out way back when in hairstyling, and a client fell in love with who I was and decided I should sell radio. Sold radio for several years, and a client fell in love with me and said I should come and work on their marketing in their real estate business. And I spent 2 weeks there, and the first thing the owner of the company said is, you're going to be in commercial real estate. And off to school I went. So that's my journey. That was in 1998. And so, like I was telling you before, I've seen a lot of things. I got to learn some of the rules gradually. You guys have to come on and learn them like that. So there's a lot to being a real estate agent, a real estate broker. There's a lot to it anymore. So paying attention is really smart. Thank you for putting something like this on.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for joining us. And I learned that in 2022, you were the chair of the Commercial Leadership Forum. Could you tell me a little bit about that role and what you did there?
Yeah, that's a fun role, because it's actually a forum. We changed the forum the year that I was the vice chair, and I got to work with Chepe from Florida as my chair. And so you get to meet lots of people. If you can ever join a national board, your local is a good place to start. But if you can go nationally, it's a great way to meet some wonderful people and realize that you're not alone in the industry, and really learn. The forum is for commercial associations and commercial committees, like such as yours, if you have a commercial side of your association. And so they come and learn about what's happening in the real estate industry and all the challenges. And we bring in a lot of different kinds of speakers who actually train and talk and get involved with them one-on-one. You get to ask them questions about their type of business, anything from what's happening in the electric industry and all the changes that are happening there to we did realtor safety, because it's very important to me. And I'll just quickly go into that if you don't mind for a second.
Yes, please.
My daughter and I are survivors of a kidnapping and a rape. And so I am a survivor, and it's one of the things that's always been top of the mind for me. It's one of the reasons I was always wanting realtor safety in every one of our committee meetings. I think it's really important just to remind us, because we kind of get busy and we forget about our safety because we just go along. And so with the forum, I got to speak to associations from all over the United States and some of the islands that were there. It was really, really awesome to see what NAR can do when it puts itself together.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I agree. Sometimes we're in a yes business, so we say yes to a lot of things. But we need to remember to listen to ourselves and our guts sometimes, and take sometimes extra steps to do the right thing for ourselves and our safety. So I'm so glad you're here, and thank you for sharing that. And in 2021, you were on the Commercial Real Estate Advisory Board as well.
Yes, I was. That's research, and that is where we dig into all the different kinds of things that are happening in the real estate industry, and our focus was commercial. So we did a lot of analytical things, which I love numbers. But if you go on to the website on both residential and commercial, you're going to see that people are there researching things and topics that are really important to your business and can make you a stronger, better professional on the page. It's a wonderful place to go. But if we don't do the research and have staff finding things we need to know, then we don't grow. So that's one of the great things about it. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So today we want to hear a little bit about how realtors active in the commercial realm or even residential can maybe be a little more proactive towards their safety on a daily basis. What are some things that you like to keep in mind when you think about your daily life and what you do?
Well, first and foremost, I need to tell someone where I'm going, what I'm doing. I can't just hop in the car and go. Those days are way over. And making sure you have a plan of action. If you don't get to meet your client beforehand, we always try to meet, especially in commercial, because you're dealing with businesses and you need to know a lot about their business. Mm-hmm. We have to know who's really the yes person in that can actually sign a contract, because you can waste a whole lot of time out there. And of course, as you know, time is money in real estate. And pre-qualification on both sides is really important to protect yourself from starting to write something and it's just not there. But when you're starting to think about where you're going and what you're doing, know your surroundings, maybe drive it before you go, have a good plan, maybe put a map together about where you're going so that you know what the building is like, what the area is like, what's happening in that area. Because a lot changes in the map, especially in your growing areas. A lot can change really quickly. So those are just some basic things to do. If you want me to get into the building and knowing what's in the building and knowing who's in the building, all those kinds of things.
Yes, please do. Please continue to share.
So when you go into commercial, it's just a little bit different. You can actually go into a building that's occupied by more than one person, one entity. And so you need to kind of know where the exits are. You need to know if there are any back hallways that you need to be aware of. And then always the same in both. Is to always keep yourself between your client and the door. Never get in front of that client so that you could get trapped anywhere, especially, those little kitchens where they're a galley kitchen and you could get trapped at the end. Make sure you never step in those if you're in residential. Commercial is the same way. Never go to a dead hallway where you could actually be stopped or held. So those are some really important things. The outside is really important. We need to know, are there cameras? Is the building have any broken windows? What are the shrubbery like? Normally you can get a Google scan. We were talking about Google, how you can go on Google Maps and look at the area and what's around. But your clients, when you're doing a listing, especially, make sure that your client is the one who knows that they need to be aware that their building needs maintenance or there needs to be attention to detail in certain areas so that you feel safe. You're the professional, but you don't have to go into that building if it's not a safe place for you to be. It's really important. So those are the basic things. We always say take a picture of who you're with. I'm a good, Facebook's a great thing and it can also be a detriment, right? But I check out businesses or people I'm going to be with and find out what their Facebook is like and what kind of comments they make. And do I want to associate with that person? Because you can, as you said, we're a yes person, but we can say no to business if we don't feel like they're safe. It's just really important.
Yeah. And here in our association, we have an app called 411. Are you familiar with that?
A little bit, yeah.
So
That's
for
good.
people here, if Facebook isn't your vibe, you can use the app 411 that iCar provides you as part of your member services and kind of check out those potential people before you meet with them.
That's awesome. That's really great. So you guys are working really hard at keeping your realtors as safe as they choose to be.
Yes. Well, and that's another thing is we can give as many tools or ideas, but it's everyone's role to kind of implement those into their daily life and make them be a recurring practice. What are some things that you might do, like when you get to a property arrive? Do you park your car in any certain place? Do you do anything like
Absolutely.
that?
So I'm always parking underneath a well-lit area. I don't park in a corner somewhere. I don't park. I always have my key either in my pocket on the outside if I'm wearing a jacket in the winter time with it unzipped so I can get to it, or in my hand at all times. I don't like to not be able to get to my car. I have taken other realtors with me so that it's safe, especially if it's a great big building. There are, like a big warehouse you can go to. That's just like a never ending corners and machines sometimes. Or so I make sure that I park underneath a well lit area. Again, someone knows where I am and what time I'm supposed to be done. And that my car is parked in a position that it can move. I don't want to have to back out of a place. So I'm either on the way out, I can drive straight through, or I'm parked at an angle that I can drive away. I never want to have to park my car right up against the building so that I have to back out, because that's not safe. If that's the case, I will back my car in so that I can get in and go. Those are just some simple things to make sure that you pay attention to in your safety.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned earlier, going down into hallways, and I've also been advised maybe don't go in front of clients downstairs.
Absolutely.
Is another thing. I'm just trying to brainstorm with you on kind of things that we can share. Feel free to dive into any other ideas that you might have.
Restrooms. If you can get there beforehand with someone and prop open all the bathroom doors, don't go in a restroom. They can go in and check it out themselves. You know what a restroom looks like. If they say there's something wrong with it, well, we can have the seller, take a look at that. We can have maintenance come over. You don't need to go in those places when they're there. You can go in and check them before they get there, arrive a half an hour before someone gets there, so you know what the building looks like, so that you're prepared. And if there's, for instance, offices that are locked or unlocked, you need to do that. Make sure all of that's open before you get there. Don't try and fiddle with keys when you're there. Make sure you've really been through that building. Not only does it make you look smarter, it keeps you safer, because now you've noticed something. Oh, just noticed that they had a bulletin board over there and this room really needs to be painted, or, things like that. So they don't know that you have been scoping out because you don't feel safe with them. But if you don't feel safe, please bring someone with you. The other thing is to make sure that the seller has put shrubs. They've trimmed them. They don't leave them unkept. Your listing should always want their building to present its best, and I think that's our job. They need to understand that if there's a liability, not only will they come after our insurances, they try to come after us or the owner, right? So it's the best interest of the owner to keep themselves in a safest, and they're building in the best. Look underneath of those silly stairwells. I can tell you a quick one. We had a homeless person in a building who camped out underneath the stairs, and they actually built from the sheetrock. They built a door. I don't know how they did it all and where they found all the stuff, but they found enough stuff to make a door on it and lock it. So when we were in the building, we didn't even know anybody was in there. And they'd been underneath that stupid stairwell the whole time. So they disguised it. And so they were sleeping under there where it was warm. So you have to really, really be careful what you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're going somewhere, I know you mentioned keeping your phone on you and telling someone where you're going. What if you're going somewhere with limited cell service?
take someone with you, first of all. But, the family, you can do my phone has it. I'm sure most do. You can put your location on so someone can see where you're moving at. And someone needs to know where the time is. Also, the seller, if there are cameras there, they can make sure they're on and they're working. So you know where those cameras are. If you need help, you can go to those and summon those cameras. But I guess if I'm in a cell service area, sometimes those metal buildings are difficult, right? So that's why be between the door and the client so you can get outside with your cell phone. Sometimes you can just have mace or, something that you can get away. Take some classes so self-defense. Everyone should know some sort of self-defense, how to break away, how to break away. There's all those different things, but it's really, really, it's kind of fun. You can have a good time with it, but it's really important to at least know the basics to try and break away. Sometimes you just can't. Men are not always thinking that it's always the girl who gets attacked, but it's not true. If you look at statistics and research, you'll find that men are the easiest target because they think they're macho. They never bring anybody with them, right? They think they're just no one's going to touch them. They're untouchable, and it's not true. First of all, their wallets are so easy to grab and go. Their identities are just maybe a little easier to, if a perpetrator is a male, taking my stuff doesn't do you any good. Taking a guy's thing is pretty easy. Hit him over the head, take their wallet, and away you go. So, and guys might be the type that don't think they need to bring someone, and there's nothing wrong with bringing an assistant with you. They can stay in the car, but they're there and able to know that you're not out yet and check on you. So that might be an easy way to feel comfortable. So.
Yeah, great tips as far as physical safety goes, and really important to keep in mind and integrate into your business. Really encourage people to take those classes or the extra steps to put your safety first, and also have someone that you share your location with, or a buddy system that you can call on to go. So pivoting away from physical aspects, maybe to more cyber risks or scams that you see in commercial real estate, are there any kind of technological scams or risks that you could share with us?
Well, there are a few, but so first of all, let your client, your buyer, if you have the buyer, your listing person know that no matter what, they will not find someone offering good real estate for a really good deal on eBay or on Facebook Marketplace. Those are not the places to be shopping for it. I had a client who lost $5,000 just by someone making them believe they were going to lose it if they didn't put a $5,000 down payment on it.
Right.
The next thing is wiring. I don't do anything with wiring. I don't talk about wiring on my emails. I talk about that on the phone with them, that there will be a title company or an attorney will be sending them the information. They may even do it in 2 separate emails so that it can't be traceable. You need insurance to cover yourself on those things, because people have really quick, easy ways to try and scam us out of stuff, and it does happen. We're really a little bit less in taking electronic filings at our counties here in South Dakota. They try to safeguard a little more than that. Some of the larger states, bigger cities, they do that electronic stuff, but most of ours is done by hand. A title company will bring an entire package down of maybe everything they closed for the last 3 days and file everything that way. We don't do a lot electronically here, but wiring is a really tough one, both in someone coming to you for a house out of state. They may see some connections. I would suggest that you are not even CC'd on that information to protect yourself, because unless you have major insurance, that you know that your title company is going to handle it, and that your buyer knows that the title company will be handling all that information with them. They should accept nothing from anyone except that title company. So those are some big things. We don't hear a lot of scams around here, but nationally there are some, and basically it's someone thinking they can get a good deal and they're going to go on eBay and fall for it most of the time.
Yeah, and I'm sure being on those committees and roundtables that you were on, and the boards on the national level, you heard a lot of those stories. So thank you for sharing those and letting us know that they can happen anywhere at any time. And just being vigilant as far as keeping our people's confidential information safe in their emails, and always trusting your gut when it comes to things. What are some of the ways that we can protect our buyers and sellers from scam in the commercial field? Is there any other things that you would like to share about that?
Well, commercially, again, most of it's done through 1 or 2 at least buyers. There's not a very often where it's one decision maker. So we're just that you get some time. My mentor, who got me into real estate, has always said to me, nothing in real estate is ever an emergency. Make sure you do your homework. Make sure that you're keeping your client safe, telling them what they need to know, but also that you're vetting your client. And it's okay to vet your client. You're a professional. I don't go to the car dealership and buy a car without them checking out whether I can get the money, whether I have the insurance before I take that car off the lot to even test drive a car. And now you can't even test drive a car alone. They have to ride with you. I test drove a car a few months ago, and they actually had to drive it first and let me ride. So they're changing too. So I don't know. But as far as the internet goes, I don't do a whole lot of business with anyone just by internet. I want to talk to them on the phone. If they will not communicate with me on the phone, they are not a client I want to have. I don't do just texting. The gentleman that I was with on the other podcast talked about how texting is something that a lot of clients do. If they won't call me on the phone and talk with me voice to voice, then I will not continue. I'll continue after on texting with them now that I know they're a real person. But that's a really big scam when someone only will do it through electronic and not give you a voice or a face. So those are really important. I don't know in residential. I think you probably get a lot of people moving in, right? Because you're a great state to live in. And so they're leaving some of those other ones that are a little harder to live in right now. And so when they're coming in, it's really important to know that you know that client. I'd talk to them. I'd make sure there's a voice there before dealing with things. I just had a realtor friend of mine. She was doing a house, gonna get this house thing. And they happened to be working with 3 towns with people. And so they ended up putting an offer in and getting it accepted, but they put an offer in another town with someone else and got that one accepted. So now what do you do? So there were some safeguards that weren't done there that needed to be done. And so you lose a deal, they get mad at you, all those things can, so be very careful. It's not just physical, it's also our business. You know, we live by what we sell. Yeah. It isn't by who we talk to and advise someone. We live by what we sell. And so if I can't sell somebody something because they're not qualified, I'm not interested, as much as I'm not interested in working with someone who's going to harm me physically. So you need to know your client. Like I say, this is the best tool we ever had. They have to call you. They still can talk to you. And you can actually now do this kind of a conversation. I can FaceTime or I can Zoom with someone. If they have an Android, I can say, well, let me set my Zoom up. I have Zoom and I pay for a full thing. So I can talk to someone on Zoom anytime I want for as long as I want. So I can tour buildings with someone on Zoom. They don't even have to be there. Sometimes that's a safeguard too. If it's out and away, you can go and video that and then call them, or you can actually take them on a Zoom. So
yeah. There's many different options and many different tools available for us, not only to make our business more efficient, but also to make us more safe. So you're right. We definitely do have some great pieces of technology that are usually right in our pocket. So we can use those by using the safety apps, turning on the safety settings, talking to people within your office about where you're going to be, being mindful of where you're at in a building when you're touring it, where you park maybe, and arriving early, checking things out. I'm just repeating some of the many things that you've shared with us this morning. Is there anything related to safety that you'd kind of like to share with the group before we sign off, or any resources that you'd like to share?
Well, you know, I don't know. I didn't check your website for what you all offer, but I'm certain that you have all kinds of things in your safety. One of the things I would like to say is, sure, it's a competition to get the deal, but the best thing you can do to stay safe is to know the realtors you're working with, to network with them. And if you're a professional, they're likely to pick up the phone and listen to you just a little bit more than they are someone else if they know who you are. But get your knowledge. There's so much knowledge out there from NAR on the webpage. If you want to know research, if you want to put something incorporated in, but also the insurance is there and the safeguards you need are there for you to check out the kind of things you need to have. For instance, don't take someone's, we used to do it all the time, but I don't take anyone's social security number ever. You have to keep that under lock and key. And the insurance, when I found out how much my insurance was going to be to have someone's Social Security, they're all gone. I don't have it anymore. It's just easier. I don't keep a lot on a web out there in the, I still do a lot of this stuff so that I know that no one can get it. I don't like to do a lot electronically just because of the cost. If you work for a great big brokerage, that's great. They probably have a lot of those safeguards. But if you're a 1, 2, 5 shop person, it costs a lot of money. And so you really need to have, you need to be best friends with an attorney and best friends with an insurance person so that you know enough to protect yourself. I would say that's a big deal. But get to know your other realtors. If you think you can do this business on your own, it's going to be a long struggle.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're here with Young Professional Network, is to connect people and bring them together across brokerage borders for the whole association. So thank you for helping kind of educate us this morning with a quick little live video to kick off our week. We really appreciate you being here. And as September is almost over, that does not mean that safety, proactiveness, and mindfulness should stop. So encourage everyone to think about a new regular step that you can implement into your business and be safe now and always.
Awesome.
Dawn, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We hope that you have a great week. And if we're ever in South Dakota, we will come and say hi, and same to you if you come to Iowa.
That's awesome. Thank you. And remember, it's going to be winter soon. Dress warm. Another safety tip.
Yes, dress warm with secure shoes for all the ice that we might have this winter too. So
absolutely. Take care. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.